This is the Jerusalem Post podcast travel edition. Coming up,
the oldest machine ever made with flipper arms is behind you at the moment, and it's called Humpty Dumpty.
A long weekend with some relaxation, massages, thermal water, swimming, some walking. That's also very beneficial for the body and mind.
Just ask my wife how I arrive home every evening. So she's going to tell you that my husband, a fool on the roof.
So sit back and enjoy the trip with Mark Gordon and David Harris. So Mark said, while we're waiting for the wonderful people from Ensana, more of that in a little bit, to pick us up, why don't we record something in the main train station in
Budapest?
So you go for Budapest. Is it Budapest? Is it Budapest?
No idea. That's one of the things we'll find out. Whichever way it is, I'm sure I just did it wrong.
I said to Mark as we were getting off our express train that brought us here, what words of Hungarian did you know? And he came up with...
Paprika.
Oh, that was another one. You didn't say that one before. You said goulash.
Goulash.
And Budapest.
Unicum.
More on that later. We passed through a town called Győr.
Is that a word? Are we doing proper nouns?
We can do proper nouns as well.
Buffet.
Oh, it says buffet. Oh, it does say buffet up there, and it's all accented and whatever, and it's got
another one. There's great train stations. Pizza.
We are about to experience some of the many, many magnificent things that this incredible city has to offer. Have you been here before?
I think this is my third visit. The first time I was here, I was but 21 years old. So it was still under the hands of the communists and was approaching its first elections. The second time I was with you on the way to a football game in Monte Carlo, I think.
Well, we lost.
We did lose, yes, and we went out. 5-3, I think it was.
And I've been here also maybe 4 times, and our first host has just arrived. We said, let's meet under the big clock and the sign with the times of all the trains. And exactly on time, at 5 to the hour, she has arrived. So,
can I just add, the sign is about 50 foot long and about 40 foot high. David was standing underneath it going, where is the sign?
Age is a wonderful thing. Before we go, because I'm guessing you've got a car or something waiting for us and you don't want to get in trouble with the authorities. No, she's saying it's okay. We've got one more thing to do at the start of the podcast, which is the quiz question.
Budapest is, or Budapest, or Budapest.
How do you say it?
In Hungarian, we say it Budapest.
There you go. It's very, very easy. We'll find out more on who that was later.
Okay, Budapest is famous for its thermal baths.
You weren't right. You kept saying Budapest, like you come from London.
I got the Pest bit right.
Okay,
Pest.
well done.
Because there was Buda and Pest. Anyway, yes. We'll come back to that in another podcast. Anyway, Budapest is famous for its thermal baths. But roughly how many natural thermal springs lie beneath the city?
The answer at the end of the pod.
This is the Jerusalem Post Podcast Travel Edition. Find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at MarkDavidPod or mail us at markdavidpod@gmail.com.
The soft music, the floral aromas, the just hint of egg in the air. It could only be a spa.
There was something in the air that night.
Oh, it's ABBA, isn't it? The stars at night, Fernando,
Ensana.
You see, you're good at this branding thing, I'm not. We are in the waiting room of the Ensana Spa massage room. Massage cabin, I think they call it here.
Well, the original booking was for 2 rooms, and we said, we're not a couple, we promise, but we need to record each other when we're doing massages. And we got that knowing look, but we get a cabin for 2.
And the piece of paper with what we're doing says couples massage.
We've not actually said anything about Ensana and that voice in the train station of Veronica.
Yes, Veronica is our contact with Ensana Spas. Ensana are actually I think they're a British-based company, but they own spas all across Europe. They find sites of medical treatment, usually a thermal spa, but what's the word? Is it thalasso?
Thessaloniki, it's one of our previous podcasts.
Yes. But a similar word, I think, is thalasso, which is also a type of healing waters. I hear someone being called for the spa. It's not us. So we've arrived at the hotel. We've gone to our rooms, lovely rooms with a view of the Danube. It is the Danube, isn't it?
Yes, this is an island.
Michel, Friedrich, Michael.
The hotel is located, yes, indeed, on the Danube. In fact, on an island with the Danube on either side. This is called Margaret Island. Originally, according to legend, was called Rabbit Island.
I wonder if we've got rabbit for dinner tonight.
We are very, very much on the vegetarian page. Talking of vegetarian, do you want to talk a little bit about the company that we almost had for lunch? You were getting very excited.
Yes, we arrived at the hotel and it was really busy. What was going on? A yoga conference sponsored by Elle magazine. Lots of young, supple people doing yoga and all walking past David and I thinking we were in the wrong hotel because we are neither young nor supple.
And I'm so glad you said people.
Yes, it's Elle magazine, which I think has a traditional feminine audience, but I saw a couple of men there in their leggings and moved swiftly on.
Mark said that the rooms are lovely. Something Mark and I have discovered is that you can go to some very fancy hotels and you simply won't know where the socket is, where you can charge your phone, where the lights are. Good afternoon. But this hotel, it's like a hotel should be. It's got elevators where you don't need to find your card to get to your floor. Have you tried one of the robes in the room, the dressing gowns?
Yes, we had to put the robes on to come down here. I don't know if you remember me in this ill-fitting robe.
Amazing, like thick, beautiful quality, really nice, lovely plush slippers waiting for you.
I'm wearing a pair of the plush slippers, however you said it.
Yes, but they're not really meant for a swimming pool, Mark, are they? And yours are now drenched.
We've walked round the oh gosh, people with clipboards. It's time to go.
We will report back very soon.
It's the good life, David.
La Dolce Vita.
Exactly. I am having a La Dolce Vita massage.
Who is your masseuse?
She's called Judith, and she has very firm hands.
Currently, with a glove on one hand and not on the other, massaging your inner and outer thigh.
Thoroughly.
Is it painful?
Not at all. It's very, very good. She started with my feet. I am massaged up to the right thigh, and now we're doing the left thigh.
And on my side, I have Laszlo, and he is a gentle giant because he is both strong but also very gentle at the same time. I am having an oil massage. I've chosen Rose, and he so far has been massaging my jaw, trying to keep me quiet, and my skull, and a little bit on my shoulders. But I think I'm going to get the full body works now.
Can I smell your skull? Do you smell of roses?
Try me.
Oh, lovely.
Yes. Anyway, we need to get back to the massage.
Oh, David.
Has Laszlo gone?
Yeah, you're prostrate still. Or should I say prostate, the way he was working you. Oh, Judith has small, gentle, but very, very firm hands. And at one point, I think it was a hot towel, but it could have been a hot towel wrapped around a rolling pin, and it was going up and down my back, and it was phenomenal.
I'm still actually on the bed. I think they're expecting us to get up and leave, but I don't know if I can ever move again. It was truly amazing. I smell of roses. My mummy always wanted a girl, so maybe finally, at least I'm in a rose perfume. He was phenomenal. It was 50 minutes of pure joy and pain, but there's no gain without pain, and it was absolutely fantastic.
There was one point when Judith was kneading my shoulder blades, and I just went, ah! And she went, will be better later.
A painful experience from me. When he got down to my lower legs, which I always assume are the actual bits of me that work properly because the rest is a total disaster, I could feel every knot being untied by him. It was magic. I'm still not sure I've got the guts to get up, but that was fab.
Yeah, when she was working on my back, I was just thinking of similes. Like, I had more knots than a Foot Locker store, and my back was as stiff as a cardboard factory. It was just... She has worked wonders. I have a slight worry that it'll all catch up with me and the toxins are moving through my body that have been sat dormant for ages. But I feel wonderful. I could do with, like, plunging in a thermal pool and letting everything relax, maybe sitting in a sauna. Should we go and have a look and see what's out there?
I don't want anybody to watch as we're getting changed, so we'll go to a quick ad break and then we'll be back with some watery sounds. The Jerusalem Post Podcast Travel Edition.
White sausage, which we eat for breakfast with a Weiss beer and a sweet mustard and pretzel.
If your test looks like that, you are in a lot of trouble.
The toilet is open to the public for viewing only.
From Jerusalem to just about everywhere, the Jerusalem Post Podcast Travel Edition.
So let's talk a little bit about the facilities here at Ensana. The dining room was very nice and the food was excellent. Superb choice of vegetarian healthy dishes.
It was top notch. I had salad with some grilled cheese on top. Absolutely stunning.
And I had a superfood salad. So I'm super strong and well after that and the massage. We'll talk more about some of the other things that Ensana offers at this particular site, but of course one of the main things at any spa resort is
thermal pools, sauna, steam room, massage. You smell of roses still. I can smell it.
Okay, come on, come over there. Come on. We're going to do something for Mark.
Oh gosh, no.
Yes, we are. I've already done this, and Mark balked at the idea, but now we're actually recording. Mark, what are you going to do?
I think I'm going to drink the thermal water. Let me just test the aroma. 1992 free range.
Mark is now looking very sickly ahead of literally taking in the waters. Sulfuric water.
Sulfuric.
That too.
I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Go on. I did it before. Yeah. And I drank the whole thing.
Yeah, and then you look really queasy.
This is not a large amount of water. This is a tiny little cup. For those of you who know Kiddush, this is less than that. Don't pretend. Let's hear the slurping. Yeah.
Do you know what it reminds me of?
Eggs.
Yeah, and?
Kiddush.
No. Do you remember Seder night? First course?
Yes, eggs.
I love that.
The eggs in salt water with some matzah.
Oh, that was good. As long as you visualise Pesach, it's very drinkable.
Anyway, that's the taking of the waters. I grew up in England, not far from a town called Buxton, and I remember as a kid going with bottles to and it was all free. You just went to a tap or a faucet right by where they had subsequently built the Tourist Information Centre. People were coming from all over the north of England to take the waters.
I grew up in a city called London where we had the Thames water main and sewage main, and people went nowhere near it.
So, yeah, it's really busy. You're good at describing things, so why don't you go for it?
And you're getting that eggy smell slightly again. We're in the thermal pool. There are two major pools here. There's a regular swimming pool and there's a thermal pool. The thermal pool is very full at the moment. It's clearly peak thermal pool time.
Have you noticed how half of the people in there are actually watching us recording this?
Clearly the waters are warm, 37, 38 degrees. I know when you normally get in a swimming pool it's 31, 32, so you've got that extra warmth. And it's not very deep. It only goes to about 110 centimetres, which is around 4 foot.
How do you know it's only about 110?
It says so on the sign.
I know, but you said about as if like you're guessing. And then round the corner, we're being looked at by lots of people in this one. This is a deeper pool. What's the difference?
It's actually cooler. It's 33 to 35 degrees and 145 centimetres, or nearer 5 foot.
Something that is interesting here is that there are kids allowed in, because there's quite a lot of spas around where you can't bring children, but here you can see down there are small kids in a little pool, and it even looks like it's almost got more of a kiddie pool feel on that side.
Maybe that's it. Is that an age limit on the big pool? Max 15? Or is it a number of people? Yeah, it does look like there's a children's pool at the other end. I think it's getting later now. I can see the moon coming up.
Let's walk around this way and we'll talk to you about some of the other things that you can do around here. Everywhere here you might be able to hear in the background there's just a little waterfall down some rocks and trees. There's also, of course, an outdoor area, but we're recording this towards the end of winter, so we ain't going outdoors. More kids on this side in the regular swimming pool.
And then, is that a baby swimming pool there, or is that where you clean your feet?
It's where you clean your feet. But let's just wander up here a little bit and go into some of the more challenging rooms, shall we?
By challenging, do you mean you had to walk upstairs and after a massage? It's not that easy.
So do you want to open the door on this one? No. Not the shower room, Mark. This is an aromatherapy cabin. Do you want to go inside?
See you in a minute.
Take the microphone in with you for a second.
Well, I would go in. I've just taken off my glasses, and it's menthol. And without my glasses on at the moment, the menthol actually hit my eyes.
Okay, so you hold the machine. He's holding the tape recorder, and I'm going to go in with the microphone for about a second. Let's have a feel. Oh, this is... he was absolutely right. Gosh, this is deep menthol. You can't really talk while you're in here. He's right about the eyes. For those of you maybe who grew up in Britain, but could be in other places as well, you might remember Vicks Vapor Rub, which you used to put under your nose or on your chest if you had a heavy cold or were feeling a bit down, and it would help you feel a lot better just by breathing more easily. That's what that is.
Yeah, definitely like an overdose of menthol, but a short concentrated burst of menthol in the winter is probably very good for you.
I was in there for, well, listeners can tell us, probably about 15 seconds, and I'm already breathing more easily through my nose.
Shall I have a go now without my glasses?
Go for it. Mark has gone inside. He forgot to take the microphone, but he's closed the door and is in there. I think I can hear him coughing in the background. Hopefully he's suffering. Well, that was quick. How are you doing?
That was phenomenal. It's a real, wake up. It's like a slap across the face, but therapeutically good.
Breathe in now. You can feel it. You feel it.
Just clears your nostrils, just like that.
Let's move along. There are a couple of gentlemen who are watching us with considerable interest. I guess it's not every day that people walk around a place like this doing what we're doing with a microphone. This one is going to be maybe a little bit more challenging for the microphone because it's a steam bath. In you go. Take the microphone with you this time.
Oh, it's foggy, David. Oh, somebody there as well. So we're in the steam room now. I can't see anybody around me. Beautiful turquoise tiled room. Again, you can feel it building up on your skin. I know if I stayed here a bit longer, A, the microphone would break, and B, my skin would feel really smooth.
Mark just said quietly off microphone, there's a man in there looking at me.
I think it's time for a nice cooling shower.
Why don't you go in the sauna and then the plunge pool?
You first.
This is a wonderful experience. We're going to take in a little bit more of the waters, maybe without the eggy smell, and we'll report back soon.
Budapest Faktvar. Budapest List International Airport serves as Hungary's main airport, with direct connections across Europe and seasonal North American routes. There are direct flights from Tel Aviv to Budapest, with El Al, Wizz Air, Bluebird, Israel and Arkia. Budapest has an efficient metro system with 4 lines, including the historic M1, continental Europe's oldest underground railway system. Trams run along both sides of the Danube and offer scenic rides past major landmarks. Taxis, Bolt and Uber are affordable compared to Western Europe. We stayed at the Ensana Margaret Island resort. There are 2 hotels, the Grand and the Thermal. Other luxury hotels include the Four Seasons Gresham Palace, the Al Habtoor Palace and the Matilde Palace. There are many apartment rentals ideal for families or Shabbat stays. Hungary uses the forint. As of early 2026, $1 buys roughly 320 forint, though exchange rates fluctuate. Budapest has hot summers and cold winters. Temperatures range from around -1 degree Celsius, 30 Fahrenheit in January, to 28 degrees Celsius, 82 Fahrenheit in July. Late spring and early autumn are ideal times for visiting. Hungarian cuisine features goulash, langos, paprika chicken, and kurtos, which are chimney cakes. The city has one of Europe's most vibrant Jewish quarters, centered around the Great Synagogue on Dohany Street, with kosher restaurants and Israeli cafes widely available, including the chef restaurant Nitavalo and Ashes, a trendy spot for Mediterranean and Israeli-inspired dishes.
As Mark and I often tell you, one of the joys of going to any city is using the public transport. Not only is it more environmentally friendly, but you also see things that you might not otherwise, especially when it comes to the waterfront of the Danube in Budapest. Have you been along here before, Mark?
Last time I was on the waterfront was 1990. There was still a waterfront then, don't worry, the world hasn't changed that much. But it was just the end of communism, so there were still statues of Lenin around the centre of Budapest. There were election posters, but it's a very different country now.
So if you look out of your right-hand window, Mark, we're actually on tram number 23, but also tram number 2 will have the same effect. We're going around one of the most stunning parliament buildings anywhere in the world. It's particularly worthwhile doing at night because the entire building is floodlit. It's also a wonderful place to visit. You can go inside, you can go on guided tours, you can learn about democracy in the country, but also see some stunning architecture and wonderful works of art.
In April of this year, it's now February when we're recording, we're going to have elections in Hungary. So it's particularly interesting to walk around the country because, again, there are all the election posters at every bus station, just like there were when I came in 1990. And next to tram 23 was tram 2B, but we didn't get it. It was a case of 2B or not 2B.
Dearie me. And just before that, we saw 2 statues. There was a dog on the floor, and there was a man with a cigar.
And it was Columbo, for those of you that remember Columbo, played by Peter Falk. Peter Falk has Hungarian roots.
And it's on a street called Falk Street, named after one of his family members.
We'll catch up with you in a bit.
The Jerusalem Post podcast travel edition.
It's a very nice wine to pair with food, but you can also drink it just on its own, and that we will do just now.
It's such a pleasure meeting an entire crew that are so smiley, so happy, and so invested in the work that they do.
Welcome in Würzburg, and it's time to let the party begin.
From Jerusalem to just about everywhere, the Jerusalem Post podcast travel edition.
Your good health, sir.
And you too.
This is extremely lovely. Veronica, whom you're going to meet probably in the next few minutes on this podcast, has given us a wonderful tour of downtown Budapest. After we were on tram number 23, we wandered through the pedestrianised area. We saw, at least from the outside, the magnificent St. Stephen's Basilica. We couldn't go in. We're recording this on a Sunday evening, and they were mid-concert.
We went down Vaci Street and Voro Mastri Square, if I got that right.
Well done, well done.
Well read. It's wonderful, really alive. I mean, it's February now, it's cold, there was a little bit of rain, and it's still full of people.
So we're on a rooftop bar, even though it is February. There are people sitting outside having chilled drinks, chilled conversation.
I think we were about to say having children.
and we're on the inside. We've got a very warm welcome from the staff in this particular bar, lots of smiles, very extensive drinks menu.
Lovely cocktail menu, and it's beautifully illustrated. All the cocktails are named after different musical performers, There's an Amy Winehouse, which is probably a bit ironic, given she died of alcoholism. But there's Duke Ellington, there's Frank Sinatra, there's Liszt, all sorts of musicians, all with their own cocktails.
You didn't know Liszt's first name?
Brahms and
Brits will understand.
Franz.
Well done. And there is not only an alcoholic drink named after them, but there is also a short biography explaining a little bit about all of them as well.
And beautiful, beautiful illustrations.
The view from here is exceptional. You can see across to the other side of the river, to the castle district, and just a really chill place. And as Veronica was saying, there are several other rooftop bars in hotels throughout the downtown area.
We are sitting opposite floor-to-ceiling windows at the halfway level of St. Stephen's Basilica. The lighting is amazing. It just looks wonderful.
Shall we have some dinner after we finish here?
Yes, maybe we should talk to Veronica.
Okay, after this.
We finally got a chance to sit down, and we're in a wonderful little restaurant called Marumba, which sounds kind of Spanishy, Brazilian, like rumba, but I'm not sure it is. What do you think, David?
Well, on the basis of what we've eaten, it seems very Hungarian, no?
And at the same time, there wasn't a piece of meat on the plate.
And Veronica, are you going to get her full name right, Mark?
Yes, I think it's time to talk to our host, Veronica from Ensana, Veronica Lendvai Gaman.
Did he get it right?
Yes.
It's not often he does that. So, Veronica, first of all, before we talk about Ensana and spas and hotels, tell us a little bit about the type of food we've just been eating.
Marumba is a vegetarian restaurant, and tonight they showed us the Hungarian specialties cuisines, but in a vegetarian way, which is not a very common thing because base of the Hungarian cuisine is obviously meat. But I think all dishes were delicious.
Just give one example maybe from the menu of something that we've eaten.
We chose the layered pancake, Hortobágyi style, which is a very famous Hungarian dish, and they prepared it now without any meat. It's a pancake stuffed and paprika sauce on top of that. And then langos is obviously a very Hungarian dish.
What is langos? Because before we came in, Mark admitted he knows what goulash is, but he has no idea what langos is.
There are two types of langos. One which is a little bit similar to the pizza, and you can put on top of it cream, cheese, mushroom, bacon, anything what you want. And the other type, which is actually the classical Hungarian langos, it's baked in oil, so it's quite a heavy dish. And on top of that we put garlic, sour cream or cheese.
Everything was incredibly tasty here, it has to be said.
On the way here, we walked through like an alleyway completely full of shops. Well, not even shops, it was mainly pubs, restaurants, bars, a lot of karaoke bars. It's a fantastic, lively area. Where exactly are we in Budapest at the moment?
We are located in the downtown, in the old Jewish quarter, which is the 7th district. And the place you have been talking about, it's the Gosdu Court, which was a couple of years ago renovated. And a lot of restaurants, coffees, bars settled in this area, because this is really the center for the nightlife here in Budapest.
Veronica has spent pretty much all day with us, and for the last few hours has been a tour guide, and that is not Veronica's day job. Veronica's job is to sell the hotels, 5 hotels in Hungary of Ensana. We are looking at 2 of them that are on Margaret Island. Go on, say it.
Margit Sziget?
Yes, Margit Sziget.
So Veronica's job is to talk about those, and we're going to do that right now. But what's beautiful is to hear her passion for the city in which she was born, grew up, was educated, and now is an ambassador for. So thank you for being such a wonderful tour guide. But now we get back to your day job and talking about Ensana.
Tell us about Margaret Island.
Margaret Island is a very special location. It's an important place for locals as well, because this is really the health and fun island of the citizens here in Budapest. I think the fact that 2 hotels are located on the island with thermal water is something unique. On the island there are a lot of things to do, mainly sports things for leisure. There are public spa, sport pitches, a running slope around the island, nice parks with flowers. So it's really an ideal location for families and also for tourists, especially during summer.
Tell us about the 2 different hotels that are on the island.
We have 2 hotels next to each other. Ensana Grand Margit-sziget, that's a very old classy style hotel. Actually, it was the first hotel of Budapest. It was opened in 1873, so more than 150 years ago. And in that time, for example, in the bathrooms, thermal water was available, and it was a very popular place for artists, musicians, and a very fancy hotel. Not too fancy, but it was an ideal place, very peaceful, quiet, so a lot of people used it as a holiday place, for example.
The other hotel where we're staying?
The other hotel is the more modern building. It was built in the late 70s, and earlier there were also thermal water and a public spa in the ancient times on that place where the hotel was built. So right now the hotel has an own spa with thermal water, and it has 285 bedrooms, and it's a modern 4-star superior hotel, which is not only ideal for spa guests, but also we welcome individuals, businessmen, conferences, sport groups. So it's a very complex and nice building.
How long do you need to stay in the spa to really start feeling the benefits of it?
I think that already from 3 days you can benefit from the spa, because a long weekend with some relaxation, massages, thermal water, swimming, some walking, that's also very beneficial for the body and mind. But if somebody arrives to our hotel, especially because of a medical spa stay, then we recommend minimum 7 nighs, ideally 2 weeks. That could be very useful, especially if somebody arrives with back pain or rehabilitation purposes.
There are so many hotels in downtown Budapest today of every type. There's Airbnb, there's 5-star hotels and everything in between. How easy is it for people to come to your hotel? And also to add to that, in addition to the transport, why come to your hotel rather than staying downtown?
A lot of guests choose our hotel because of the spa and the thermal water. They would like to combine their stay with relaxation and a little bit outside of the city. We are not going to attract the people who wants to be in the middle of the city and enjoy the nightlife and only the shopping. So our aim is to find those who would like to spend their night and maybe their mornings in a very peaceful, quiet area, but within 10-15 minutes they would like to pop into the middle of the city center. There are several possibilities to go to the city center. Either it's very easy to call a taxi by application, or you can just jump on a bus. Just right next to the hotel there is a public bus stop, bus number 26, and you can easily reach the metro station. To one direction, it's just one stop by, or you cross the island and then go to the other direction where the end station is a railway station, and tram, underground, everything is available.
How can our listeners find out more about Ensana and book an Ensana break?
So there are a lot of information on our website, ensanahotels.com. You see all the available destinations, and also you can choose your medical package based on your health condition or if you have any special needs.
And the web address is ensanahotels.com. Veronica, thank you very much indeed.
Welcome. Thank you very much.
So tell me about your friend Kurt, the simple one.
Dearie me, how long have you been planning that joke?
Since you said ready.
Tell us where we are, Mark.
We are in Budapest, would you believe?
Simply put,
we're in, I don't know if you've ever heard of a ruin bar. I mean, I've been ruined in many bars, but this is essentially an old house or an old courtyard that's been built up into multiple bars. Very little has got into maintaining the structure other than making it safe, but it's just a collection of bars of various themes, music everywhere, young people everywhere. This is the place to hang out late at night.
Are you feeling out of place then?
I'm feeling old, definitely.
We're both old, but there are plenty of people looking in, coming in, because it's not only a place to enjoy, it's also kind of a tourist trap where visitors from out of town have heard about this place and come to see it. And like you said, it's the first one of its kind. It's been exported to Berlin, as Veronica was telling us, and it is an interesting experience.
It's not just one floor. If you look up, you can see cages, and then you can see more people walking around. It is multiple floors of bars. It's like a bar factory. It really looks down to hill, but people here seem to be having a lot of fun.
Okay, shall we bop?
I'd prefer a cocoa and some milk, please.
Okay, let's have a drink. The Jerusalem Post Podcast Travel Edition.
They would always say he has a sword in one hand and a marriage contract in the other.
Sancocho is made only with 3 ingredients: ñame, culantro, and also with chicken.
I had the hot stone massage. Either that or I left a couple of empanadas on my back.
Come for the destination and stay for the banter. The Jerusalem Post Podcast Travel Edition.
I am Robert Fröhlich. I'm the chief rabbi of the Dohány Street Synagogue of Hungary. And as this day, I'm the chief rabbi of Hungary. Now we are sitting in my office in the headquarters of the Jewish Communities Federation of Hungary.
Why did you become a rabbi? Wasn't there a proper job out there?
Well, I didn't want to become a rabbi. When I graduated in the secondary school, there was a legendary director of the Rabbinical School of Hungary, Professor Dr. Scheiber. He was a world-famous scientist and a rabbi, so I wanted to learn from him. It was in 1984, and then I joined to the Rabbinical Seminary here in Budapest because of him. He passed away in 1985. If I started to learn, so I finished my studies in the Rabbinical Seminary. And
I believe that the Jewish community in Budapest is not exactly young. There's a long, long history.
The first sign of the Jews here in Hungary goes back to the 3rd century AD. If you go to the Jewish Museum here in Budapest, you're going to find a tombstone from the 3rd century, and there's a menorah on the tombstone. Maybe it's a Jewish tombstone, we can assume. Of course, they arrived with the Roman legions. They settled here. And since then, there are always been Jews here in Hungary. Sometimes they were expelled, sometimes they arrived here from being expelled from somewhere else. But there's a consistent Jewish presence here in Hungary. The middle of the 19th century is the main turning point of the Hungarian Jewish history. In 1848-49, there was a Hungarian rebellion against the Habsburgs. And the Jews participated in it because they said that we are Hungarians. They were proud Hungarians. And they wanted to support the rebel. So they joined to the rebel. And after the rebellion failed, they had a great financial punishment. And slowly, maybe 50 years after the failure of the rebellion, they received the emancipation law. Since then, they started to organize the Jewish life here into organizations, to organized community. They made social programs, they made youth movements. The Jews became lawyers and doctors. They had civil professions, not only rabbis and cantors and sacred professionals. They started to live as a normal society.
Was it similar to, say, Berlin or Vienna, where people were much more integrated, or was it closer to the Lithuanian-Polish story, where people were still keeping themselves to some extent?
Both. In the end of the 60s of the 19th century, there was a gathering of all the Jewish forms and the groups here in Hungary. And at the end of this gathering, they divided into three parts. The Orthodox remained the Orthodox. There was a so-called status quo ante, which said that we don't want to have civil organizations, we don't want to become a faith group. It's good for us, the status quo. And the biggest part of the Hungarian Jewry started a new branch of Judaism called the Neolog movement. It meant and it means that spiritually they were much opened than the Orthodox. They made the rabbinical seminary, in which I graduated, in which they taught not only sacred things, not only Sfurim and Rabbunim, they taught history and languages and arts, philosophy, Greek and Latin. They trained modern rabbis. Modern means at the end of the 19th century. The Neolog was the most successful branch of the Hungarian Judaism.
Can you explain a little bit about the differences between Neolog and regular Orthodox Judaism and say, conservative Judaism in America?
It's something like the modern Orthodox, with some kind of Hungarian specialties, of course. What is the difference between the Orthodox and the Neolog? If you want to be a member of the Orthodox community, you have to live in an Orthodox way. The Neolog movement says that I don't care what you keep in your fridge. I don't care how you come to the shul on Shabbos. The main point that you come to the shul on Shabbos, and I don't care what you eat at home, but here you eat only kosher. I don't care if you light a cigarette on Shabbos at home. Here in the community, you have to keep the Shabbos. So we give the freedom to the person, but the community itself is strict Orthodox.
What is unique, if at all, about a Neolog synagogue?
I would like to say proudly that the organ is unique, but it's not true. You have organ in Reform synagogues. I would say proudly that the place of the bima is unique, but it's not true. The Reform synagogues, the bima is in front of the ark. So there's nothing unique in Neolog synagogue. Especially the Dohány Street synagogue, if you enter, you have two pulpits in the synagogue. This is unique.
Why?
Because there are no other synagogues with two pulpits.
I thought you might say that as I was asking it. I think, oh God, I've said it. Why?
Really?
No, but why are there two?
I don't know.
Oh, come on.
I really don't know. No one knows. It sounds funny, but it's the truth. Maybe the guy who made the blueprints of the synagogue, Ludwig Förster, he was not Jewish. And when he got the task to plan a synagogue and to dream a synagogue, he dreamt a Jewish cathedral. That's why when you enter the synagogue, the Dohány Street synagogue, you feel you enter into a cathedral. It's huge, you feel so small, like in the Notre Dame or somewhere else, on the Cologne Cathedral. That's why he put the two pulpits into the synagogue, because he thought it's a Jewish cathedral. He didn't know what is the difference between the synagogue and the church. So he thought it's a Jewish church.
After the war, Hungary had the largest surviving community of any of the communities affected by the Shoah, and it's still the largest community in Central Europe today. What is life like in modern Budapest for a Jewish community?
After the World War II, Hungary was relatively lucky in the tragedy because the Hungarian Jews were the last Jews to take into Auschwitz. In spite of it, about 600,000 Jews were murdered during the Holocaust. 600,000. But the remained crowd was the largest here in Eastern Europe. And it was until the political changes that we were the largest number in the Eastern group. To be a Jew here in Hungary is what was not so tragic like it was in the Soviet Union or, let's say, in Eastern Germany. But we have had no so much opportunities to live as a Jew. Zionism was forbidden. If you made a gathering for Jewish people, they said that you make a Zionist conspiration against the state, so they take you to the jail. It was hard. But now, I would proudly say that we can live freely and we prosper and flourish, but it's not true. Because we have 40 years behind us. 40 years when to be a Jew was not a shame, but was not a big proud either. So during these 40 years of so-called communism, the Jews hid their Jewishness. They made mixed marriages, and they lost their connection to Judaism and to roots and to the community. So we struggle to revive the community, even after 30 years, after the political changes. The community is not so big. We have about 80,000 Jews here in Hungary, but most of them do not arrive to the shul. Somehow we have to find them and to bring them to the shul.
In that case, are you proud to be the leader of this community? Is it challenging? Do you love your job? Do you go home at the end of the day and slap your head and say, "Oi, what am I doing here?" But you've been doing it since those times.
Oh yeah. I'm proud, of course. And just ask my wife how I arrive home every evening. So,
and what would she tell me?
She's going to tell you that my husband, a fool on the roof. Well, you know, the Jews. To work with Jews, it's not an easy task. I would rather go to the circus, work with lions. To be a little bit more serious, it's good. It's good. Every day you find something, a small success, and it gives you the strength to carry on. And you know the purpose, the aim, the goal you want to achieve. And if you have 1 or 2 or 3 people more in the shul every year than you had, let's say, a year before, it's quite a success.
The vagaries of being a rabbi in Central Europe. Thank you so much indeed. And I believe now we're actually going to see your synagogue.
You're going to enjoy it.
Now we've actually come into the Dohany Street Synagogue, and we're going to hear from Tommy, who is a guide to the shul.
Hello everyone. We have here a very unique synagogue, not because it's the biggest in Europe and in top 3 all over the world, but it looks like a church. We say church-like synagogue. Most of the Jewish symbols are hidden, mysterious. You can see the big chandelier. Downstairs you have simple lamps. In the middle you have 3 lamps. And on the top floor of the big chandelier you have 5 lamps together. This is the symbol of one God, the 5 books of Torah, and 3 fathers of Jews. Yes, and parallelly also the Holy Trinity of the Christians. Yes, each and every hidden symbols has double content, a Jewish content and a Christian content.
Because the architect was not Jewish.
Yes, exactly. Why? Because Jews wanted to achieve partnership in the way to receive, by the end of 19th century, equal civil rights, which was something very important, very huge achievement for the Jewish population here, yes, to make favors, not to see it very shape as the Jewish symbols.
Hi, this is David Harris from the Jerusalem Post podcast Travel Edition. Find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at MarkDavidPod or mail us at markdavidpod@gmail.com. Mark, you look upset.
Yeah, that was my final ball. I used to be very good at this many years ago when I played it, but no, not anymore.
What is this?
This is the Adams family. It's a probably 1990s, maybe 1980s pinball machine by Bally. Like most other pinball machines, the idea is to get the ball into up ramps and down different holes, and then there's a whole series of bonuses that it gives you. If you then hit the right order of holes and ramps and targets, I haven't hit much so far.
So one of our hosts here, Vitaly, who brought us here, he's now enjoying himself in the distance as well. Oh, Mark's gone now. I just lost Mark. He ran off while I was finding out what was going on, and Mark is not playing pinball anymore. He's playing...
Get that microphone out from under my nose while I'm shooting things. It's called Point Blank 2.
Where are we, Mark?
We are at the Flipper Museum in Budapest. It's a vintage pinball and video game museum. Point Blank, again, another late 80s, early 90s game, I think. It's an early laser game. You just shoot things needlessly and repeatedly.
We actually have the place to ourselves, with the exception of the wonderful, wonderful folks from Visit Hungary. Vitaly, who is one of our hosts, Vitaly already has a much higher score. He's got more than 5 million, while Mark managed to get about 50. For the time being, our colleagues from Visit Hungary of the female gender are wandering around looking at all of this and taking it in. I suspect in at least one case she's considerably younger than the vast majority of the machines that are in this pinball museum. I'm going to allow Vitaly and Mark to get on with things, and in a minute we'll meet somebody else called Mark who will tell us a lot more about this museum.
Hi, so my name is Mark Potaki, and we are at the Budapest Pinball Museum. In particular, we are in the vintage room where the oldest machines are.
Tell us about it. What are we looking at? What's here?
The machine here next to us, it is a very, very sweet, very lovely machine. This is the Dancing Lady. This is one of my favorites out of the 163 machines, because there is this ballerina, dancing girl, and this is so lovely. This is a completely different age. It's like a time machine. So when you enter this room, it's like when you enter a portal, it's a portal through time. And the oldest machine ever made with flipper arms is behind you at the moment, and it's called Humpty Dumpty.
But Mark, do you want to play a game on Humpty Dumpty while we're chatting?
It was manufactured in 1947. The manufacturer's name was Gottlieb. It refers to the story of Humpty Dumpty, of course. It's a bit more complicated to launch the game because first,
No, it's good because Mark has no idea how to do it.
I'm used to pressing a button.
First you have to push this and then the plunger, So you can see that it's a completely different era. It's a completely different approach. It's not that noisy. It's not that fast. Automatically, when you enter this room, you're slowing down. And this is very, very important, I think, in this day and age.
Apart from the noise, is the technology the same?
No, it's completely different. Basically, there are different eras in pinball manufacturing, and this is the electromechanical era. Okay, so after this, the modern machines are completely different, not only noisy. Sometimes you can experience the LED screens as well. So like you get to watch the movie while you're playing. So the state-of-the-art pinball is like that. But this kind of pinball is completely different. It's, you can see the solid wood cabinet. For instance, a solid wood cabinet, it's a completely different energy and a completely different atmosphere.
For somebody like me, it's not disappointing. I mean, it's lovely to touch something as old as that, but I'm very much used to the flippers at the bottom and things moving up like with gravity, and here they drop down, and the first thing I noticed when it got to the bottom was I can't save it because the flipper's not at the bottom, it's like halfway through. It's lovely. I mean, there's lights with your score, there's nothing digital, it lights up on the bumpers in the middle, but
I would find this much more mellow experience. Mark and I were at university together, and that was our era, the mid-late 80s. I found it was too much, all of the flashing lights, all of the noise. Perhaps today's kids who don't know so much about pinball machines, because they're playing on their phones and all this stuff, maybe this is the perfect sort of arena for them.
When we started the museum, it was almost 12 years ago, we thought that our primary target group would be the same age as we are with Balázs, like guys in their 50s and late 40s, and they came first. So actually it was true. But right after that, with the families, the kids came. So we have these step-up stools in the corridor, in the lobby. You can watch 5-year-old kids enjoying the game like crazy. It's really for all age groups. People in the US used to play during the Great Economic Depression. So these were the first pinball predecessors, the ballyhoo, the buffer ball, the jigsaw. So these are really famous of this. And these two are Hungarian pinball predecessors. So in the 1930s, there was really solid pinball predecessor manufacturing in Hungary.
When I was a kid, I had something like this that was based on nails, and the balls dropping from nails to nails, and then I had a little lever at the bottom to eject them from those holes.
That is called Bagatelle, which is like 160 years old now. So this was the first pinball predecessor, and this is why it's called pinball, because you can see the pins there, so the nails. And basically the first game was played in the French royal court, and they played it with cues. And it was completely different. And soldiers from France went to the US during the Civil War, and they brought the Bagatelle game with them.
What's really nice in the museum is each of the old pinball machines has a little fact file above it with the date of manufacture, the manufacturer, and even the designer. You can see which countries they've come from as well, I think, from the names. It's a really lovely museum, and it's not just about playing pinball.
In addition to pinball machines, we've got ice hockey games of varying ages. Right in front of me now, there's a game of 10-pin bowling. In fact, there are two. There are plenty of really old-style shoot-the-target games. There's a fire extinguisher, which I don't think you play. Where would you like to take us next?
We're standing here next to Budapest pinball machine, which is completely unique in the world because we redesigned an old pinball machine with a completely new design. And you can see the chain bridge of Budapest, and that mermaid is actually Gábor Zsázsa. She also hailed from Budapest. And you can see the box of Houdini floating on the water, because Houdini also hailed from Budapest originally. We wanted to reflect on these world famous persons.
How did you get into this in the first place?
We've known each other with Balázs for many decades, and we went to high school together. We went different ways, and after many decades we just came together to do something together. I used to be in corporate marketing before that, but when I was a kid I was absolutely enchanted by pinball machines. You know, in the communist Hungary, if you entered an arcade, it was the breath of the West, you know, the Western world, so it was magic because there weren't so many things reflecting on Western culture. It turned out only a few years ago that Fathom, that machine, was also the favorite one for Balázs and me as well, and it turned out only decades later, so it's like a synchronicity.
If somebody wants to come to the Pinball Museum, how do they pay? Do they pay for the hour? Do they come all day? You just let them in out of the kindness of your heart?
We have a sort of a flat rate system, so you buy one entrance ticket and you play as long as you want. Even using your wristband, you can leave, you can have a dinner or whatever, you can come back. And weekdays we close at midnight, so you can play a whole lot of pinballs for 5,500 forints, which is quite a deal.
That's about $17.
That's an amazing deal for a day's entertainment.
Yeah.
How can people find out more? Your address, website address?
So our website address is flippermuseum.hu. Our address is Radnóti Miklós Street, 18.
Mark, thank you very much indeed. We've had an absolutely amazing time, and it's lovely watching your face and the passion. You're like a kid in a candy store.
Yes, in many ways I am, and thank you very much for coming. And we are really looking forward to welcoming more and more people from Israel as well, because we have a lot of visitors from Israel.
I'm going to play. See you later. I've got to say, David, I am absolutely wiped out tired. I think after that massage, I've just been in a state of constant relaxation, and then having a lovely walk around town, meeting the rabbi, playing pinball. It's a lot to fit in.
It's been a phenomenal time here. What you can squeeze into a day in Budapest is quite remarkable.
Yeah, I think next time we do this, we do all the busy stuff in the morning, and then we have the massages and everything in the afternoon, and that way.
Also, listen out for a podcast upcoming on such a note. What are we going to sum up? What do we want to say about this day?
It was just really lovely. I haven't been here for 10 years, and then I came with you, so it wasn't much fun then.
True. And when we were here, it was for a few hours.
In a way, the city doesn't change. It's still beautiful everywhere you look. Wide central district, lots to see, great shopping. It's just a lovely place to be, and it's not expensive. It's still, you know, as time goes on, everywhere gets more expensive, but Budapest offers value for money as a European capital.
So for me, what's special is the water and the views you get on either side of the Danube. So if you're on the Buda side, you get this phenomenal view of Pest, and if you're on the Pest side, you get the incredible view of the castle and the Gelert Hill and so on. Magnificent in the daytime, but I prefer it even more at night when it is floodlit and just superb.
And I think the city is blessed that you're in the city centre, not very far away, and yet you have thermal pools and thermal springs that you can take advantage of and have a wonderful spa like this.
Yeah, Ensana's thermal Margaret Island offering really is excellent. We've enjoyed it. They've been gracious hosts to us. So we say thank you to the team at Ensana. And what else?
Yeah, thanks to Vitaly and Veronica for organising this wonderful trip. A big thanks to Rabbi Robert Froelich, who kept us really entertained while we were with him at the Dohani Synagogue, and Mark and Balázs at the Pinball Museum.
That was great.
Yeah, I love that. And I love their passion. They both had wonderful jobs in the corporate world and decided, do you know what, we'll follow our dream and buy lots of pinball machines. And I wish I could have enough time on my holiday just to spend the whole day there.
But you and I are kind of doing that. I mean, we're keeping our corporate or whatever it is jobs that we do, but we're also living the dream, and we're very, very blessed.
Yeah, we would love to travel the whole time. I'm not sure our wives would be too happy about that, but yeah, fair play to them.
But a lot of that is thanks to you, listener, if you're still with us at this point in the podcast, because you're the reason that we do this. We thank you for being part of our journeys. If you know people who would be interested in a podcast like this, where there's a lot of travel, tourism, and maybe a little bit of Judaism thrown in, please share this with them. You can reach out to us if you've got any questions or suggestions at Mark David Pod on social media, markdavidpod@gmail.com.
Is it time for the quiz answer?
Yeah, well done.
At the beginning at the railway station, I asked, Budapest is famous for its thermal baths, but roughly how many natural thermal springs are there beneath the city?
Roughly, 123 roughly.
I thought you said 126 the other day.
I did, but
Have
I've
you
changed my mind.
recounted it?
I recounted, I've gone down by 3.
So let's go with over 100, just to be really vague.
It's around there. We're going to say goodbye now from some of those thermal waters at the Ensana hotels on Margaret Island.
Do you want to say it in Hungarian?
Yes, we can.
Bella.
You can say your goodbyes.
Goodbye from Margit Sziget.
Ah, you mean like that. And I'll say goodbye in Hungarian. Hello, hello.
Goodbye.